of interest in St. John's. The signs are up. The phone-in shows are hopping, and plenty of candidates have announced their intention to run. This morning we'll talk about that interest. I'm joined in the studio by Deb Hanlon. She's been a councillor for 6 years, but isn't running this time around. And Keith Coombs has been watching from the sidelines this time around. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, John.
First of all, Keith Coombs, what's it like watching from the sidelines and not participating?
Well, it's an interesting perspective, I must admit, because you get a chance to say the pros and cons and take a different view on things because you're not pressured to be political in any way, shape, or form.
Were you tempted to run this time around?
No. Basically, people encourage me and so on, but no, when I was defeated the last time around, I decided, okay, it's time to move on in my life.
Yeah. Debbie Hanlon, what about you? You're not campaigning because you're not going to run. Is it difficult to be not part of that energy out there?
Oh, no, not at all. It's not difficult not being part of it. The most difficult part is being part of the silly season, as Deputy Mayor Shelley Duff put it one time. Right now, it's a lot of posturing going on and not a whole lot of political work.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the campaign, Keith Coombs. Anything strike you about the campaign generally so far in the St. John's area?
Well, to be quite honest with you, it's kind of dull, to a certain... Now, obviously, they haven't got into the debates and things like that, but, and I think the cameras are gone again. If I remember correctly, they usually take them out a month or two, and so you don't see much, and, all you get is the odd clip, that type of thing, so, the signs are starting to come up, that type of thing, but it is kind of dull.
Yeah, what about you, Debbie? Do you feel the same thing?
Well, I expected more people to come forward, to be honest. I'm disappointed in the numbers that are showing up. Not disappointed in the people, but I expected more candidates to come forward, possible candidates, and I'm finding it all kind of blah as well.
Yeah, now nominations haven't closed yet, but I noticed that Wally Collins in Ward 5, Danny Breen in Ward 1, they could go uncontested. Are you surprised at that?
Well, yes and no. I mean, number one, these are two stalwarts in terms of down at City Hall, and I think they're pretty good constituency people, and they come across as such. And I suppose any person that would go against them is looking at, do I have a chance? However, having said that, I'm sure both of them would say, look, I'd rather be contested because there seems to be a legitimacy to running against someone and getting elected as opposed to just simply being acclaimed. And but I'm sure they'll save a few bucks and headaches and a few other things. So
So you'd rather win than be appointed, we'll say.
Yes, exactly. I mean that I think it gives the person who gets elected a greater legitimacy. It's not to say it's wrong. It's just to say that there is something that makes it more legitimate.
We'll have to agree with Keith on that as well. However, I do believe that competition would have been better for all of us. I think that more people coming forward to express an interest in our city would have done the residents better. We would have gotten to see their portfolio, their plans, and their lay out their campaign plans and things like that. But right now, both councillors, Breen and Collins, are very good councillors. That's not in question. But I'm willing to bet that they would have liked to have seen competition as well.
Now, Ron Ellsworth is the only one declared so far for Deputy Mayor. Nominations don't close until August 27th. But what are you hearing? Is there somebody else out there who's going to declare for Deputy Mayor, Debbie Hanlon?
No, I think that's really sad, though, that only one person stepped forward, and I definitely do believe that more competition there would have been welcomed by the residents of the city of St. John's. I feel that such a high-profile position should have attracted more people, but from what I'm hearing, most people that I know in my circles are saying they don't want anything to do with City Hall. They don't want to put their name forward, which I feel is sad. I've been on a campaign to help get younger people involved in municipal politics, and I've seen that's happened, and I'm pleased with the results of the people that have put their name forward. But our deputy mayor position going uncontested, I think that's sad.
And Keith Coombs, you're pretty plugged in. Are you hearing anybody else is going to run for deputy mayor?
No, I think, number one, Ellsworth has been proud of been campaigning for the last 4 years. That's number one. But number two, he really came out hard in the new year, like around January, February, whenever it was. So, people are aware that he's going to throw money at it and so on.
Yep.
So, it's a daunting task then to come in as a person who doesn't have experience and try to knock him off. I was kind of surprised, and I don't know what Debbie thinks about it, but I was kind of surprised that Sheila O'Leary didn't go for the deputy mayor as opposed to the mayor, because that would have been a very interesting race to see the two of them basically face off for the deputy mayor's position.
But what do you think of Sheila O'Leary now against Doc O'Keefe for
council, and, again, as an observer, I think, Debbie, you've had a pretty good council in terms of the work you've done and what, the things they've accomplished and so on. There's been no major mistakes. There's been no major crisis or anything like that. So, it's been an even keel type of council, which, again, as an observer, I think they've done a pretty good job.
I'd have to agree with you there, Keith. The council I work with are very good, a great bunch of people with the best interests of the city in mind. The biggest challenge I found with the last 4 years was people with their own agendas. Certain councillors that would be pushing themselves forward, tearing the rest of council down to make themselves look good, and for a profile position of, and I am speaking of Councillor O'Leary, going for mayor. The most challenging things that I found with moving things forward was as Deputy Mayor Duff said, the silly season started early, so there was a lot of political posturing going on and interfering with the good work of council. But if you look over the past 4 years, from even the way that we do our bring forward our financial budget, to the strategic economic roadmap, to the arts plan, to numerous events that and projects that council have worked together on collectively, we've done a good job. The councillors that I've worked with put in numerous hours and are dedicated to their positions, and I've enjoyed working council. I haven't enjoyed the political side of it, which is kind of funny to say, but to be honest, I've enjoyed my time on council, and I've certainly enjoyed working with the other councillors.
Keith Coombs, do you think there's a danger for Sheila O'Leary to be seen as an NDP candidate, that might polarize voters?
Well, this whole idea of a political party, provincial, federal, or otherwise, getting right behind a candidate, that usually doesn't translate, for someone who might vote for an NDP candidate in an upcoming provincial election, voting for that person because they have that backing. Matter of fact, it has the potential to blow up in one's face. It's nice to have certain individuals who are in political parties backing you and so on, but to expect, that the machine and every person who voted NDP to vote for me, because I'm that NDP candidate. People, in my history of being involved with City Hall, want to separate party politics from municipal politics. And I suppose that's one of the things that makes municipal politics interesting. You're your own party, and you go on your own face.
What do you make of that, Debbie Hanlon?
Well, I don't know. A lot of good NDP people out there for sure, but I don't believe that it has any place in municipal politics. I don't think that NDP are definitely going to vote for an NDP candidate, and I don't necessarily think that's a good move. I think that people vote with who they think would be best to run and work in our city, and that's how I'm going to vote.
Yeah, and I think the interesting question for me anyway as a voter is, Sheila O'Leary will have a lot of strength in the downtown, what I call the granola belt, but how will that play in Airport Heights and Cowan Heights? And I don't know if that will translate as easily as it does in the downtown.
Well, like I said, I think that in the downtown you may be surprised, because Doc is one of these people. I said to someone the other day, tell me one person who hates Doc. I mean, when Andy was there were people who hated him. They would, if they saw him going up the sidewalk, they'd probably go up on the sidewalk and try to knock him down. But Doc, there's no one hates Doc. All right, you might not like some of the things he says and some of the things he's done, but you don't hate him. So, he's got a widespread popularity. There's no doubt about that. And as I said earlier, the council has got no crisis that it had to deal with. It didn't make any major mistakes. So, it comes down to who do you go for?
Why does Sheila O'Leary have such a vibrant campaign so far, and Doc O'Keefe not have much of a campaign so far? Is that strategic, do you think?
I would say that one of the reasons, you have these campaigns is to get your face in front of people, get your ideas in front of people, and so on. This time now, people, again, that's the beauty of the mail-in ballot. People are going to sit back in their kitchens or down at the pub or wherever and start to say, okay, what does a person stand for? Let's see now. It's nice to have these little clips and so on, but what is their stance on this issue? In terms, for example, of crime in this city, of development in the city, all of these major issues. How much taxes am I going to have to pay if that person gets in as opposed to that person getting in? So,
I have to agree. I believe that an informed voter is definitely what's happening, and I don't think that I do believe that Dennis O'Keefe is strategic in his plan for his campaign. This is not his first time at the rodeo.
Yes.
He's been any way. And he comes back with, I've got it under control, and he seems very cool. And the one thing that I find about Dennis is he's always been level. So when he's talking about his campaigns the same way, he's not in any kind of a panic.
Yeah, this question comes up every election. Why aren't there more women running? There's only 3 women running. What's the problem?
I think it's not just women. As Debbie mentioned, she's trying to get young people involved. I was thinking about the other day, when I first got elected, and that's nearly 20 years ago, most of the council at that time were in their 30s. All right? If you look at the council now and some of the people running, this has a potential to be a geriatric ward if you're not careful. So, I mean, the bottom line on it is it would be, people don't come forward. It's not just women, because once you get on council, and Debbie, I think, has found it, you're under the microscope. No matter what you say, what you do, no matter what your intention, you are going to be analyzed, this, east, west, north, south. And it's tough, I mean, on an individual.
A lot of women give a lot to their communities. They don't necessarily need to stand up and say, rah, rah, here I am. There's people out there that have helped so much in their communities and their businesses, like Brenda O'Reilly. She's been instrumental in moving ahead the food and beverage industry. She's not putting her name forward. She's too busy.
All right, well,
and those other people are just too busy.
I'm sure we'll talk about this again before the election, but I appreciate you coming in this morning, sharing your thoughts.
Not a problem.
That's former Councillor Keith Coombs and Debbie Hanlon, who is not running this time around. Election Day is September 24th.
Do you want to get something off your chest? I'm Chrissy Holmes, and I'd like to hear your confessions.
Under the radar, we're being very quiet. Either that or we're being shoved under the bus. Not one mention of me. That's good though. It's interesting to hear those people talk. See what they have to say. How many women did they say? I think they forgot about one. Yeah. Don't worry. We're gonna make some noise real soon. Right, Dasher? Yeah, quiet like a cat. Very quiet. Yeah, figures Debbie Hanlon would say council has done a good job because she's on that council. I think I can do a better job than that council. I think there's a lot of problems, challenges with that council. And don't worry, there will be more people putting their names forward. Absolutely. Very quiet, Dasher. Very quiet. The media doesn't want us talking. They don't even want us around. We're gonna have to try a little harder to get them to pay attention to us. Don't worry.